I went online to find as many green animals as I possibly could, from the famous green frog that everyone loves, to green ants that can weave like spiders, and even radiating green cockroaches. I was having a look around and I managed to find these green tree pythons. I mean, just look at the colour on some of these, but they're $1,250, but look at the colour. Unbelievable. And of course, we can't do a buying every green animal video without the Madagascar day gecko. What an unbelievable gecko. Maybe we'll get one. After ordering everything I needed for the video, I then waited on the best delivery man in town. John is back delivering again. Apparently, we paid him so well, he went away on holiday. Can we give him a welcome back, John? Now, I've got a lot of really cool animals in this video, so let's start with unboxing whatever's in this first box. After unboxing it, there was a wooden crate full of green animals ready to come out. I slowly moved the straw out of the way, and it revealed our first animal. A red-eyed tree frog, but something else a lot bigger was in this box as well. We'll get to that soon. First, we have to build the tank for the tree frog and get him set up. I'm using this smaller Exoterra I've had laying around that already has a foam background on it. This will be a great tank for him to grow out in, and I can also keep an eye on him and make sure that he's eating. To prepare the tank, I'm just using aquarium safe 100% silicone. I basically covered the whole background in this, pop on a glove, and then spread the silicone all around the foam. If you don't know anything about this silicone, it honestly stinks so bad and attacks your nose like crazy. I then cover the silicone with therm fiber or cocoa fiber, it depends what I have on at the moment. Then, once it's all dry, I tip up the tank, gave it a pat, and revealed a massive part I missed. I didn't have any more silicone, so I decided to put some glue and add some fake plants, as this is only a temporary tank, so I wasn't really bothered about the look. Now for the drainage, I just used the rest of the leca balls I had spare. I've stopped using these as they're extremely heavy and annoying. I then put some filter foam over it, which is what I use for my drainage layer and my substrate layer now. I'll show that in a future video, as I don't use any substrate in most of my tanks now. I then put a barrier over the foam and then put all the substrate on top of the barrier. Next, I wanted to add a log so he has something to grab onto. Now, to give the tank some color, I found this plant that looked really cool. I made this tank around 6 months ago, so I can't remember the name at all, but I love the colors on it. And I thought it would be cool to see the green frog against the pinks. Then, I popped some leaf litter in, and with that, the tank was pretty much done. Overall, I'm happy with this. I gave it a quick spray down, and it was ready to introduce the frog into his new home. Look how vibrant this frog is. His bright red eyes against the bright green is insane looking. There's no filter or anything on this video. That's just how vibrant these frogs are. But you can see that he has a blue underbelly and some bright orange feet. These are definitely one of the prettiest looking frogs out there, and I'm very happy I get to work with one of these frogs. I popped him into his new tank and let him chill for a while before attempting to feed him. It didn't really seem like he was that interested, and to this day, he doesn't really like being tongue fed, and he prefers to hunt naturally. But I do have a pretty cool animal that goes crazy for food later, so don't worry. With that being said, let's move on to the next green animal, this time being a lot bigger. And yep, that's a day gecko. One of the most amazing bright green geckos you can get. It's funny looking back on this footage because he's so small here. When I show you him eating later, he's a lot bigger. Leave a like on the video if you want to see a room tour, because unlike other YouTubers in this niche, I actually keep most of my animals and care for them very well. Now, before I can get him into his new tank, I wanted to give him a smaller one for now while we make the other one. I sprayed the tank down and let him into his new tank. Now, these geckos do not like to be handled. In fact, you should never handle these guys, as they will rip their skin off and throw it at you in defense. They're definitely not a good beginner gecko at all. But I mean, just look at this gecko. The colors just really pop on him. He's a really cool addition. Now, I'll just quickly make his new tank, which is a lot bigger and way cooler. And remember, I will be feeding him, and he goes crazy for food. For his new tank, I had this one already prepared with a background. All I did was use expanding foam, covered it in silicone, and then placed cocoa fiber on it. Then, for the drainage layer, I just went with the foam filter, as it's light and does the job well. I then placed a barrier over the foam and put some substrate down. Now, I wanted this tank to be very full and almost like a jungle, so I filled his tank with these palm plants. I love the look of these plants, and it just fills the tank so well. Plus, the gecko will feel a lot more safe with all these palms. Then I put some bamboo in the tank. Day geckos love bamboo, and it's a great way for them to bask and jump around onto. I popped some leaf litter in, gave it a spray, and it was ready for the gecko to go into his new home. And around 6 months later, this is how he's doing now. He's grown a lot and loves his food, as you can see. He's still a bit skittish, but that's just how these geckos are. Like I said, they're not great pets in terms of handleability. But yeah, you can see he goes crazy for his food. Now before I move on to the next animals, I want to show you one green animal I've had in my collection for a while. This is a Vietnamese Mossy frog. Now the reason he's in this tank is because he's a little bit silly and managed to hurt his eye jumping against something. So I have to give him eye drops twice a day for another week and hopefully he gets better. I mean, look at his eye before compared to now. It's healing really well. But yeah, he's probably my favorite frog I have in my collection. I really need to give you guys that room tour, don't I? The next animal isn't an animal, I guess. It's an ant. But this ant is extremely different to any ant I've seen before. The queen is massive compared to a normal queen. I think you guys will be shocked. Before we can put the ants in, we have to build them their nest, which will be different to how I usually do ant nest, as these ants need a naturalistic enclosure. I poured in some substrate. This is fully bioactive, full of tiny springtails to break down waste. I then put in some crushed leaf litter, as in the wild they'll use this leaf litter to make a nest. The nest also has to be suspended in the air, as these ants will make their nest high up in the trees. So I used some rocks to keep it away from the ground. Look how cool these ants are. The queen is massive in a really cool green color. She looks like a mini tank. I gave them a few hours to inspect their new nest before I added some sugar water. Way too much sugar water. But after adding the sugar water, the queen instantly went over to it and started collecting it. This was extremely cool to watch, and again, it's still so crazy to see how big this queen is. Now this next animal, I never expected I'd ever have it, to be honest. The only reason being it's a cockroach, which I don't have a massive care for, but these are very different to normal cockroaches. But first, we need to make their tank, which is very basic. I just pour in some substrate, mix it with some broken down leaf litter, and then add some sphagnum moss in the corner. There's a lot of ways to keep these cockroaches. Some keep the tank moist, and others keep a little corner moist. From what I've looked up, I'm going to try keep them in this way. I then placed down some cork bark all around the tank to give them lots of hiding spots, and with that, it was time to show these insane looking bugs. These are emerald cockroaches, which are a bright sort of metallic green roach. They get more green as they age, I'm pretty sure, but either way, they're very cool roaches. Like I said, I didn't think I'd ever have cockroaches, as I don't really find them interesting, but you have to admit, these are pretty cool. Okay, so I've got all the colors here. Let's see what we get. I'm kind of hoping that we get something interesting like purple, white, or black, or even camouflage. I feel like orange and yellow are just, you know, too basic. So let's see what we get. Oh, okay. This is going to be interesting. That's going to be really interesting. I have a couple of good ideas. Let me know what animals I should get for this one. Now, I have a lot bigger projects and videos coming soon. And yes, I do have that jellyfish video coming soon. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss out on all these future videos.